Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for all of you joining us today. I'm Vidya Shankar, and I head the global marketing at Quinnox. And I'm really excited to have you with us. And I hope today's discussion will help you in either starting or navigating your journey towards sustainability. This is the third of the four-part webinar series we are conducting along with our partner, Software AG. Today's webinar topic is Unleashing the Power of Integration, Your Digital Backbone for Sustainability. Before we get started, I will just take a moment to introduce Quinnox. Headquartered in Chicago, Quinnox is an IT services platform and modern application development company. Our cognitive platforms and solutions focus on adapting a more efficient and forward-looking approach to application design and development. Quinnox is a premier partner of Software AG, a partnership that will make the connected, intelligent, and resilient enterprise a reality for numerous clients. Together, we are happy to present today's webinar. A couple of webinar housekeeping tips before we move on. All attendees will be on mute and only in the listen mode. You can join the audio through your mic and speakers, and if you're experiencing any audio issues, at any point in time, you can connect through the telephone and dial using the information provided in your webinar console. We are going to have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Please submit your questions at any point in time via the questions panel of the webinar console. We'll be sure to take those questions right at the end. Today's presentation is being recorded and will be shared with all the attendees. Moving on, I'm really excited to introduce our panel of experts for the webinar. Between the panel, we are talking about more than 100 years of experience in IT consulting, integration, data, and sustainability. To start with, Jaffer is a technology and sales leader with 25 years of experience in the IT industry. He's passionate about solving business problems through technology and process optimization, and has led large transformation programs for Fortune 500 companies as a sales and a delivery leader. JP Richard Chapman, fondly called JP, Product Marketing Manager at Software AG, is focused on sustainability, integration, IoT, and cloud hyperscalers topics. Mike Durham is the pre-sales solution architect leader with over 20 years of experience in enterprise integration. Mike has worked with some of Software AG's largest customers, architecting innovative integration solutions to address their IT modernization and business transformation needs. With over 6 years of experience in the data industry, Jesse specializes in empowering customers to optimize data management both on-prem and in the cloud. His expertise facilitates enhanced business outcomes through strategic data utilization, and is excited to share how StreamSets and Software AG join together to enable better data-driven decision-making. Without further ado, let me invite JP to take over the session. JP, over to you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Vidya, and thank you for the kind words for the introduction. So just to start us off, a little agenda into what we'll be discussing today. So we'll be very much focusing on integration, cloud, and sustainability, as well as looking into the future, what that missing piece looks like, and also a way forward. So looking at what a possible path forward looks like for you and your organization in terms of your sustainability initiatives linked to integration and cloud migration. Now, without further ado, I'll just start us off with a quick metric. So as Gartner's research states, a staggering 70% of organizations pursuing sustainability initiatives will leverage public cloud services to achieve environmental sustainability outcomes by 2026. Now, with that being said, let's just have a quick look at some of the challenges related to integration and cloud pertaining to sustainability that organizations should and need to be aware of in today's complex technology landscape. Now, just to start off with, sustainability data can be hard to access. So that is one of the very top challenges. We also have current IT infrastructure is often a barrier to innovation in most organizations. As well as in most organizations, too many systems and platforms sometimes lead to too many resources being consumed. Furthermore, siloed data from multiple sources makes tracking impossible. And last, but definitely not least, limited domain knowledge and human resources. Now, these 5 key challenges are really just a glimpse into the many challenges linked to integration of cloud and sustainability. Now, these are obviously challenges to be aware of. Now, I won't touch on this anymore at this moment in time, but just to move on to digital transformations and sustainability. Now, digital transformations and sustainability really don't have to be seen as one or the other. So when embarking on your digital transformation, set your organization up for sustainability success by ensuring that sustainability goals are tightly linked to your digital transformation. Digital transformations come in many different forms and paths. A very common approach is moving to the cloud. Now, in 2020 alone, 61% of businesses migrated their workloads to the cloud. Now, an impressive 80% of those companies reported operational improvement after migrating to the cloud. Now, if we look at hyperscalers, I mean, you really need to be aware of the role of hyperscalers with regards to cloud, of course, but also with regards to sustainability. So as you migrate and look to adopt cloud, you really need to be aware of the role of these cloud providers and their stance in sustainability. Now, looking at Google Cloud, for example, Google Cloud's latest goal is to run on carbon-free energy 24/7 at all of their data centers by 2030. AWS, on the other hand, by 2025, has committed to powering operations with 100% renewable energy and is also committed to achieving Amazon's goal of net zero carbon by 2040. And Microsoft Azure, they're planning to shift to 100% renewable energy by 2025. And by 2030, they plan to take steps to remove more carbon than they emit, reduce carbon emissions by more than 50%. Now, I'm sure you'll all agree that you're in good company, and migrating to cloud should not be seen as a detriment to your sustainability goals, but should be seen as something that will help you achieve those sustainability goals as you're embarking on your digital transformation tightly linked to sustainability. Now, something to note is that public cloud regions powered by renewable energy can reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 70 to 90% compared to traditional legacy data centers powered by fossil fuel energy, as remarked by Gartner. Now, on top of that, Forrester Research notices in their latest data and analytics survey that 40% of decision makers use AI to improve efficiencies in IT operations. And AI is being used more and more in integration use cases, as well as linked to cloud migrations. Now, it really must be noted that cloud computing often makes up a significant portion of organizations' carbon emissions. Driving efficiency in data centers and cloud infrastructures is an effective way to lower your environmental impact. Now, on top of that, there are many benefits to migrating to the cloud, becoming another route to sustainability, from using cloud providers that run their centers on renewable energy to decreasing carbon footprint, as well as improving operational efficiencies and optimizing operations, just to name a few. Now, with all that being said, let's look into the future. And by looking into the future, I mean, imagine if you could. Now, imagine if you could connect everything, seamlessly integrate data, applications, processes, devices, and clouds, enabling data to flow freely, turning your data into value and enabling you to focus on accelerating outcomes. Now imagine if you could create visibility and transparency, have a single source of record, connect through internal and external APIs to integrate data from multiple sources onto a single platform and calculate environmental impact from greenhouse gas emissions, energy, water, etc., all for reporting and disclosures. Now, with regards to reporting and disclosures, imagine if you could report and communicate, being able to create automated alerts when deviations from compliance with guidelines, goals, standards, or regulations occur, and accurately report and communicate on sustainability initiatives and metrics. And last but not least, imagine if you could improve operations, be able to streamline data collection and integration from multiple sources to improve transparency, collaboration, and accountability, and give stakeholders and contributors the tools to work together seamlessly around sustainability goals, data, insights, and overall progress. Well, you don't have to imagine. You really don't have to imagine anymore. And now cue the missing piece of the puzzle. And for this missing piece, I'll be handing over to Mike Durham.
All right. Well, thank you very much, JP. I appreciate that. So what I'd like to do is talk about webMethods integration platform as a service to address or be represented as the missing piece of the sustainability or ESG puzzle. And so a little bit of discussion that JP just mentioned is that visibility and transparency during these projects and during these programs is hypercritical. And so what we're going to talk about, getting started with these sustainability programs is getting visibility into an organization's data to be able to make better decisions and have more of a focus on the strategy in certain areas of these project and programs. So I'm going to use a term as we go through talking about integration is a common data plane for sustainability. And a common data plane is going to be achieved or accomplished by breaking down data silos and integrating data sources to create a real knowledge base that's common across an organization. And some as we look down below is that the credibility of an organization or credibility of the project team or program team is going to increase and improve because of the progress with the internal peers or stakeholders within the organization, partners, customers, and so forth, and able to make these projects and programs more efficient. And as I move on to discuss efficiency, is we're going to talk about real-time data, and we're going to talk about measuring different KPIs and having goals is based on real-time data populating that common control plane. And so in order to create that common control or common data plane, we're first going to start by talking about getting a grip on connectivity, right? In order to integrate knowledge, integrate information, we have to address connectivity. And so as I introduce webMethods today, what we see, what we hear from our current customers and our future customers that are on the call here today is to discuss complexity. And complexity today, as organizations are transforming, as organizations are modernizing their IT systems, and as they're moving to the cloud, as JP mentioned just a moment ago, is that the chaos increases. And as you can see across the top of the diagram over here on the left, we're going to talk about Databricks, we're going to talk about Snowflake here in a bit, and we're going to talk about the proliferation of that technology, which is going to just increase the chaos itself to become unsustainable. And also what we see and what we hear from our customers is that they're still continuing to get value out of legacy systems, right? And so there's a silo of data that sits in legacy systems, which we call heritage applications. We're a definite leader in the space of integrating and continuing to allow our customers to get value from those legacy systems, which we'll talk about in a few moments. So webMethods, step one, address the chaos of connectivity, and then start to work through integration. And so as we go through and talk about integration platform as a service, and we'll use the term iPaaS as we move ahead, is that ESG project team members or program stakeholders are going to be interacting with this type of technology. And so the technology has to be easy to use. It has to be effective for business analysts, for leadership, for integration developers per se, right? So this is probably the key advantage of what organizations are looking for when it comes to integration platform as a service. And being able to be agnostic and not tied to a cloud provider or not tied to certain enterprise application systems, makes this technology, or the choice of the technology, important, is to take a look at that we're not bound to an application platform or bound to an actual cloud provider. We'll talk about the multi-cloud scenarios for integration as we move forward. The web methods solution, if there's folks on the line that are familiar with web methods, is that as we move forward and talk about this hybrid connectivity, is that we're addressing every integration use case within one solution. And in addition to that, as it is one unified solution, is that we've got unified reporting, unified health and maintenance of it, and then we provide governance directly out of the box. And so as we talk about APIs and moving forward, I thought it would be good to just talk about our commitment at Software AG, partnering with Quinnox, is to bring integration solutions to the marketplace. Our full focus is integration. And so just a quick background of our technology is we start at the very, very lowest levels of the organization, and I'll address this in the use case that I'm going to talk about here in just a few minutes, is IoT integration, commonly known as Internet of Things, but what we're going to refer to as integration of things. We start by bringing the data and getting additional value out of the data that sits in machinery or that sits in consumer applications and bringing it up into integration of applications. And we're probably focused the majority of the time today talking about integration of applications, integration of data, and integration of APIs. And you can see some examples of what we provide in the solution that will allow our customers to be able to use this technology to create that common ESG data plane. Integration of analytics. We provide analytics out of the box to understand, how the data is actually flowing in real time through the organizations, or to be able to create dashboards that is actually looking down into, these layers of integration below. Integration of process is, again, very, very key as ESG teams are documenting their processes, optimizing those processes, and using the data that's flowing through those processes to simulate outcomes, simulate goals, simulate KPIs, and then mine that data, right? And then over on the right-hand side is the integration of portfolio information. And so we're integrating and allowing organizations to understand the commitments that they've made to their technology, rationalize decisions as they move forward, and be able to select the best technology to actually drive, positive ESG outcomes. And so as we move forward, I thought that what we would do is to, as one example here, is to go ahead and talk a little bit more about data integration. And so what I'd like to do is turn it over to my colleague, Jesse, to talk a little bit more about data ops in stream sets. Jesse, over to you.
Thank you, Mike. So on this slide, we'll dive into 4 pillars that really underpin our joint solution. And when we think about stream sets and Software AG, what does it really mean from the perspective of combining data integration along with Software AG's Quinnox and web methods capabilities? So the first pillar here, where we're looking at the word integrate, and as it mentions, combining over 300 different connectors, we know that effective ESG initiatives rely on accurate and comprehensive data. And when we combine stream sets and Software AG, we get support for over 300 connectors with all of the hyperscalers that JP mentioned earlier, including Azure, Snowflake, Databricks, AWS, Google, and many others. And this wide-ranging connectivity really is what empowers you to seamlessly integrate all of the disparate sources, regardless of what their formats are or their origins. And by being able to harmonize diverse data streams, that's how we enable efficient reporting and ultimately quicker time to insights. This is especially important for enabling ESG efforts. Now, on the second pillar here, when we look at standardize, consistency is key when it comes to ESG reporting, and our joint solution empowers you to craft change empowers you to craft standardized, reusable data pipelines. And this means that when a change is needed, you essentially make it once and apply it universally, which reduces redundancy and ensures continued accuracy of your data streams. This standardized approach really supports your ESG initiatives by providing a reliable foundation, which enables analysis, benchmarking, and also reporting. Furthermore, it also makes it easy to introduce change, which is also something that's been a challenge we've been hearing and seeing across lots of customers today. And then the third pillar here, when we talk about democratize, ESG strategies benefit from collective insights, and this can come from a diverse group of stakeholders across the organization. Our solution offers a dual interface approach with a low-code UI tailored to integration specialists and business users, and then also an advanced UI for more technical users as well. So the democratization of tools fosters a cross-functional collaboration, which enables a holistic approach to ESG that really integrates diverse perspectives. And then last but not least, when we think about streamline, we know that a clear vantage point of your data supply chain is vital, especially for staying responsive and adaptable in a dynamic ESG landscape. And with StreamSets and Software AG, you get a comprehensive view of your data flow, empowering proactive decision-making. By streamlining operations and offering insights into your data's journey, we enable you to align your ESG strategies with real-time insights and evolving sustainability demands. Back over to you, Mike.
I appreciate that, Jesse. Thank you very much. So the democratization is a key differentiator of the Software AG Web Methods and StreamSets solution. And again, as we mentioned early on, is bringing knowledge workers into the process and taking advantage of this technology, and then also being able to streamline the process. And so this just reiterates the competitive differentiator that the Web Methods and StreamSets solution has in the marketplace. So what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about Nucleus 3 as a customer of Software AG, using the entire technology stack to be able to address the needs and concerns that the federal government in Australia, the municipal government, the local government, and meeting the needs of their citizens. And so with Nucleus 3, they're utilizing the technology stack that I described just a moment ago. They've got the integration of things solution with Cumulosity. They've got the analytics layer of TrendMiner, and then they've got the Web Methods integration stack. And so the challenge that the organization had, they were building this solution. The government was building this solution, and they went out to the marketplace to look for a technology vendor to help those water authorities basically just save resources, lower cost and resources, right? And so what they did is, the integration work that was happening internally was incredibly costly, and they needed to be able to enable their teams using democratization to start with small projects, get their hands in the technology, and basically scale them. So the benefit, there's a few different benefits, but the idea is it's just based on lowering costs. And the challenges that the organization had, again, is working with the federal government, the local government, the ordinances that are associated with that, and then the private sector, really required them to have a full-featured integration solution or integration stack. And so the benefits of that transformation delivered by Nucleus was really just based on visibility into their customer data and having a 360 view of the customer-specific data, production data, and site data. And then what they were able to do is have a 22% reduction in average water usage per customer, which is significant, and then identify leaks and then be able to curb, the aspects of water theft within the organization. And it was very difficult for them to do without, implementing the Software AG and Web Methods stack of technology. And so lastly, just to kind of wrap up here, is again, the roles of APIs and integration in ESG projects and sustainability projects is to be able to have access to all of your data, breaking down those silos, right, removing those blockers and creating a common data plane, and then being able to operationalize these aspects of getting access to the data and achieving those goals, and then of course the reporting. having clear defined connectivity, clear defined integrations to this data was make for more reporting and communication. Okay, so at this time I'd like to go ahead and pass it back and talk about the path forward.
Thank you very much, Mike, and thank you very much, Jesse.
Yeah, sure thing.
Some great insights there, and great to see what is possible as you showcase with Nucleus 3. Now, how do we move forward, and what does the path forward look like? Well, we believe that integrating everything and using the right cloud strategy for you will enable you to focus on sustainability goals and initiatives. So from the integration of data, consolidating, connecting, and accessing sustainability data from third-party suppliers and partners of all sizes, to the integration of applications, so using and developing APIs to access sustainability performance data in a secure and scalable cloud, multi-cloud, or hybrid environment to increase efficiencies and make organizations more agile and become more sustainable. To the integration of things, so connecting and managing, analyzing and acting, as well as integrating with enterprise applications in real time using IoT sensors and machine learning and streaming out analytics to measure and track sustainability performance, all the way through to the integration of processes. So designing, analyzing and sharing and improving processes across different cloud environments to increase efficiency and better achieve sustainability goals. So it's really through the integration of everything that you'll be able to create a sustainability-oriented, focused organization. Now, where to start? Where do you start? Well, you're not alone. Software AG's devised a framework to help steer our customers down the right path, with Software AG acting as the empowerers, enabling the journey and supporting organizations at every step of the way. Now, this framework, as you can see here, is divided upon 4 different pillars of assess, so measuring where you are today, setting the baseline and standards, building out, so mapping your enterprise's vision and mission for sustainability, operationalizing, so really building organizational foundation to integrate and manage sustainability initiatives, and last but not least, tracking and reporting, so communicating disclosure to both internal and external stakeholders. And this isn't a linear framework, it's a circular one. So it's constantly going around in a circle. And as mentioned, Software AG are acting as the empowerers, taking you through this journey and through this framework to ensure that you're hitting your sustainability goals and initiatives. Now, with all that being said, I'm now going to hand it over to Jaffa to discuss how Software AG and Quinnox bring sustainability to life.
Thank you, JP. Thanks, Mike and Jesse, for really bringing in good insights into the product and platform, and as well as how we really helping meet the ESG agenda for large customers. I would want to kind of bring us all back to the ESG agenda, in terms of how it is impacting various industries, where various industries are. The reason we speak about it is because every industry is responding to this call for action in a different way at a different pace. But in the last 2 years, we have seen that this has really picked up, whether it is banking and financial services, whether it's insurance, whether it is consumer retail, whether it is energy and utilities or logistics and supply chain. I'm not covering all domains here, but there's a significant uptick in terms of both investments as well as reporting, and also the overall leadership in most of these industries and companies are committing big time for large goals in the next 3 to 4 years. So in doing so, it becomes very imperative for all organizations to align to these goals, that means that they have to really align their data and their systems to meet these goals or measure these parameters and metrics and report and kind of on a continuous basis improve on them. So having said that, moving on to the next topic, Mike and Jesse did point out that it's pretty complex, the measurement of or the collection of the data across the whole organization, and the priorities for different industry as well as different parts of the business is different in terms of what they want to measure and how they want to measure and what's the speed at which they want to kind of comply with the ESG governance itself. Now, having said that, the organizations are actually sitting on a lot of data themselves today, and definitely there is need for data to be gathered from outside. Now, how do we know what's already available and what needs to be gathered from external sources, and what complexities lie in there? So we come up with Software AG. We do a three-dimensional assessment, a very quick assessment. It's not like multi-quarter, multi-year assessment. These are very quick, 6 to 8 weeks assessments, where we actually look at all the business processes across the organization, and then we see the underlying applications which support them, and all the technology platforms which support them, and also look at the integration layer as such within the organization, because many organizations, when small organizations have 1 or 2, and large organizations may have tens of them in terms of number of integration platforms. So when we look at all of that, and then we kind of really draw up an infographic view of what exists within the organization, what data flows between different systems, and what data is important from an ESG reporting perspective which exists within the organization, and what data can then further be enhanced internally for that reporting, versus what data needs to be gathered from new devices, whether it is new or partners from whether they're external partners in case of manufacturing, assembling organizations, or transportation organizations, or retail organizations. So we look at all of that data and what data needs to be brought in. We work with the business in terms of prioritizing some of those projects and really come out with ROI in terms of ESG reporting and compliance, and really form an assessment report which the company can then use as a roadmap for their transformation journey in terms of ESG. And as we speak, integration is a very important piece of that. So because you have to bring data from different sources together for your reporting. So moving on, how do we make that simpler? So this view is a very simple view. I've been talking about complexity all the time so far, and whereas you might be saying, hey, why is this slide so simple, and why there are only 3 things or 4 things I see on this slide? So yes, so you have ESG governance at the top, which is your reporting that you need. You have decided what metrics you want from your frameworks, from your assessment, and then you also decided on, hey, what I need to get from external partners, or what new devices I need to get into. Now, why is it so simple? The simplicity is because Quinnox, along with Software AG, so we have worked in integration space for almost 20 years now, and we have devised automation platforms which can actually come in and do a quick assessment in an automated fashion to bring the diverse data elements and give you a very quick view of what exists today and what needs to be parameterized and what needs to be brought from external sources. And therefore, we have a very simplistic view in terms of integration, and integration forms your core in terms of making this ESG reporting and governance a success. And therefore, this automation that we bring and the assessment framework that we bring kind of really changes the game and kind of really accelerates how organizations can respond to the call that various policymakers are making on corporates today. So having said that, if there is an interest for any of you to look at how this assessment can be done in a quick way, please give us a call, and we will be more than happy to do an assessment for you. A brief background on Quinnox. We are in the industry of for almost 20 plus years, and the core focus is integration, and Software AG has been our and we are premier partners of Software AG. And there are various other parameters that we have developed and done over various periods of time, almost you can see the list of customers. So with that, we bring a very verifiable background as well as huge amount of IT assets and consulting assets that can really accelerate your program. Moving on, I would want to just give you a quick view of what are the 3 things or 4 things that we do to help our customers, along with the product platforms with Software AG brings. So we really accelerate those implementations by bringing or categorizing our services into consulting and advisory, implementation services. And once that is implementation services are there, if there are migrations that need to be done based on integration platforms that you might have, or you're implementing with us along with Software AG, and then any maintenance support that you need in the future. So we bring all the 4 together as a box so that you don't have to, because many of the time customers are looking at different providers and operators to come and help them do this for them, and that brings a lot more complexity to the game. So we simplify all of that, and we bring everything in a box to help you move forward and really accelerate your ESG program. With that, I've already said call to action is give us a call if both Software AG and us, if you are looking for your integration platform to be renewed, modernized, or even assess where you want to go from an ESG perspective. And we are there, whether it is cloud, whether it is devices, or it is API and integration and applications. So happy to help you there. With that said, I would open up this session for Q&A. And Mike, Jesse, JP, and Vidya, thanks a lot for an awesome session. Let's go ahead and open it for Q&A. Please go ahead. If you have any questions, you can post them on the chat. I have one question that has come up, and this is for the panel. Do you have any recommendations for ESG teams to document processes during IT modernization programs?
I think I can start with that, and then JP, Jess, if you want to chime in. As described in one of my earlier slides, we were talking about I was talking about the importance of process integration and data that's documented in processes to be part of the common control plane, and so that the Software AG ARIS family of technology is used for documenting processes, for optimizing processes, for simulating processes, and there is quite a bit of domain knowledge that we have within Software AG specific to ESG. So from a technology standpoint, the technology platform is called ARIS.
Yeah, nothing else to be added from my side on that. I think you've covered it all, Mike. Makes sense.
Thank you. Another question, and this might be, I think, in reference to the data plane that you were talking about earlier, Mike. What are the best practices for analyzing data stores in order to build a consolidated view of an organization's common data plane?
I think, Jaffer, it goes back to the assessment. And so I think that the strategy is a Quinnox strategy, and it's a documentation strategy, and it's also an integration strategy with the web method solution. And I think that as described, when it comes to the assessment and the best practices that Quinnox offers to the marketplace is to basically, follow the guidelines set by Quinnox to be able to surface, the different data stores, and then be able to align that to the KPIs, within the actual projects, to be able to quickly be able to establish the integrations, which I believe that you shared in detail just a moment ago, to be able to, to build this common integrated ESG control plane. Assessment, identify the integrations, and then work toward the evaluation that Quinnox offers on a daily basis.
Fantastic. I would just like to add something on that piece, Mike. You talked about assessment. So when we did one of the assessments on the business process plane, as well as on the on the application plane. In one organization which distributes filtered water, and then they actually distribute this to retail stores, and they pick up the empty cans. They drop the filled cans, the big ones, the 20-gallon ones. And one of the things that they used to do is we looked at the business process. They used to frequent all the retail stores in the path in a predetermined way, and some of them would need replenishment and some would not. So, but they would still make a visit to those retail stores. And in that business process, we said, hey, why can't we do a simple thing, which would be an IoT device on those stands where you put those water bottles. Will tell you exactly how many you have, how many are empty versus how many are full on your racks, and you can decide what's your inventory level that you may want to maintain on that store, and you can on the fly decide during your routes whether you want to visit those sites or not dynamically. So that really improved how much they spend, what is the carbon impact, and stuff like that in terms of distribution, because that was their major energy consumption in terms of distribution of their product to the retailers. Just wanted to add that as a business process assessment. I have another question which has just come up. At what point during transformation projects should organizations start to consider iPaaS solutions? I think this might be an important one from what we have been talking.
Well, I think I can take a stab at this one. So I think from a solution architect standpoint or a solution consultant standpoint is that in working with Jaffar's team, is looking at connectivity. All right, because it starts with addressing just that chaos of connectivity before we can harmonize. And I think Jesse used the term pretty eloquently, harmonizing these data streams and these data pipelines, is that we have to first address connectivity. And so organizations, again, that we discussed, it's a debilitating process to understand this, the complexity or the chaos that's associated with the complexity of connectivity. So I think we would start there, Jaffar, is being able to establish this connectivity, and then organizations can actually see the realm of possibilities of what they're going to be able to integrate together from a data standpoint. So it does start there. And then I think when it comes to, the creation of real data pipelines, right, and real efficient, data lakes, or, creating, common data stores that are master data specific to ESG would be the next steps.
Fantastic. And I think I would just like to add a few things to that. Mike, thanks for that very concise answer on that. When we do our assessments, and when I talked about creating an infographic of what integrations exist in an organization, that also gives a view of what is within the ecosystem, what integrations exist within the ecosystem of the organization that we're assessing, and what integrations are on the cloud and in the hybrid state, right? And also merge with that, what is the strategy for the organization from the cloud adoption perspective, because many are still in that journey, and what systems and applications are they moving to the cloud in the next 2 to 3 years. And based on what's there and how much is there in the cloud, and the importance of iPaaS kind of increases, or the weightage of iPaaS, how soon and how fast should you get into the iPaaS, the criticality of that is assessed based on that kind of a model. That will actually help customers to really answer, should I really invest in an iPaaS right now, or should I take another 2 years, or is this a real investment for me in terms of cost and other things that play into the picture. So we do help the customers, in that, and give that answer, and make that answer easily digestible.
And again, Jaffar, that you made me think of one more thing when it comes down to this, is that I'd love to talk to anybody that's on the line through this, is that adopting the webMethods iPaaS is there's a significant time to value advantage with webMethods, is that we're the business side of adopting the technology is based on transactions, and so our customers and our prospects and our partners that are utilizing this technology in their projects, the customer or the end customer is only paying per transaction. And so the time to value statement is very, very strong with web methods as these projects accelerate and as these projects mature. And so the investment that our clients are making in this technology has a significant value impact because of only be charging per transaction.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mike. And if there are questions around this iPaaS solutions and further conversation is needed, please feel free to contact us. We'll be more than happy. Mike and team and as Quinnox, we will be able to help you with that. And before embarking, so there's one more question here. It says, before embarking on a sustainability journey, what are some of the questions an organization should ask and or address?
Yeah, I can definitely take a stab at that one. Thank you very much. Well, if we look at organizations, many organizations really lack the tools that provide the transparency and change framework that's needed to evaluate their operational landscapes as well as their customers' operational landscapes and identify what needs to change in terms of being sustainability focused. So unfortunately, this leads to rationalization decisions based solely on green initiatives with no consideration of the impact on other business aspects. So organizations need to look at sustainability in its entirety in terms of how it links to all operations of said organization. Now, just to note a little something, that ESG management and reporting is a full-time job already. And inefficient manual gathering of data in response to regulatory requests really unnecessarily increases the workload. So these are things to take note of. Now, furthermore, just to mention that quick fix solutions, greenwashing, and handling a sustainability initiative as a one-time exercise really leads to poor execution of sustainability projects, which is really due to disconnected business and digital transformation strategies. So to answer the question, there isn't really a set of questions per se, but more so things to be aware of. And one way to ensure that you're considering everything is to work with a trusted partner like Software AG and Quinnox through a similar type of framework that I presented a bit earlier. And this will really ensure that you're on the right track and that you're moving forwards and that you're continuing to move forwards and going in the right direction.
Right. I think adding to that, JP, I think very good response to that is that when organizations have to answer this question for themselves as well, because they have to look at what is that they want to first of all do as a sustainable or a ESG, socially responsible organization. What are the things that they want to do as a priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, and then that defines their journey. And then also is that, to your point, is the whole of the organization right from top to bottom, the leadership to the execution team, are they all aligned? Have they all bought into those things that they want to measure and report in the next quarters or so? So that is a very important. So I think a strong commitment from the leadership of the organization and what's the outlook of the organization from an ESG perspective, because it is a very sensitive topic right now. So it has to be done in coordination with organizations. People don't think of marketing being part of this, but that has to be, there are different parts of the business that have to come together to actually answer this question, not just the technology and the business leaders.
Yeah, most definitely.
Fantastic. I think we are pretty close to our session time. I do have one more question here. In terms of the UN SDGs, how does integration link to this?
Yeah, I can start us off. If you got anything else to add, gentlemen, please do. But it all starts with integration at the end of the day, and that's a quick answer. Now, the longer answer would be that, integrating data from systems, apps, processes, devices, whether it's internal or external. All of these are key to working towards the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Now, if we were to, for example, look at IoT, and you might remember from the first part of this webinar series, we discussed this a bit. Well, one would argue that IoT can be and is linked to all 17 SDGs. However, it is actually only directly linked to 9 out of the 17, whereas integration is intrinsic to all of the 17 SDGs. Integration is really that empowering factor, so to say. So whether it's reducing everything from emissions to electricity usage and more, all of this is really made possible by having the right integration solutions in place to assess, inform a strategy to achieve specific goals, and track and report on said goals. So just 4 other things that organizations should be aware of and that enterprises need when working towards the SDGs are automation, being able to gain strategic visibility into data, both internal and external, and really improve and modernize integrations. Simplicity, so they need simplicity to be able to simplify data operations. So whether it's migrating to the cloud or to keep all data in sync, unified, or to preserve business operations and gain that unified 360-degree view of data during transition and beyond. And that third point, enterprises need to reduce risk, so create, adopt, and share sustainability APIs while reducing risk and ensuring API governance, security, and efficiency throughout the entire API lifecycle. And then that last point is being strategic. Enterprises need to be strategic to continuously develop as well as to revise their strategy for positive social and environmental impact. So that would be the answer to that question. But just to sum it up, those 4 key things, just to recap, I mentioned are automation, simplicity, reduce risk, and be strategic. But in terms of the link, integration is really intrinsic to all of the 17 SDGs in order for organizations to work towards them.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, JP. I think we are pretty much on top of the hour. Do you have anything else to add, Mike?
Nope, I'm good to go. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks to all the panelists for a wonderful webinar and taking all the questions and covering the topic in detail. But I'm sure we have not answered everything here in this webinar. So this is just would be, so if you have any questions and you want to really connect with us around iPaaS, you want to connect with us on ESG and how you want to do an assessment, understand where your organization is today in the journey and how can you accelerate that process, feel free to call us. We do offer quick assessments, 4 to 8 weeks assessments along with Software AG. I also showed you some product capabilities and demos as well. So just feel free to call us and we'll be more than happy to help you in your journey. With that, thanks for everyone. Thanks for all the people who joined the conversation today and listened in. Feel free to call us back. Thank you very much.